hope everybody can see my screen here. The topic of today is PDFA or not PDFA, decision criteria. This is what I want to discuss in a, let's say, 30-minute presentation. What we want to achieve is to give you on a high level, management level, some pro arguments, which are 3, and also some contra arguments, which is a tough challenge for me because LuraTech is obviously a promoter of PDFA, but I think I can share some experiences which we did in real-world applications and organizations. That's what we want to do. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Thomas Willman. I'm responsible for sales here at LuraTech, and I'm also a shareholder of LuraTech as a main function or main job. And as another job, I'm also the managing director of the PDF Association, which includes the PDFA Competency Center, which is a member. My assistant today is Annette. Annette is responsible for inside sales, and as this is a webinar, so I'm talking one-way street, and all the attendees are in listen only or in mute mode. But as you can see here, we have the chat. So if you have any question, then please feel free to enter this. And as I am talking, Annette will assist and try to answer any questions you may have immediately. Or on the other hand, we will be happy to answer questions afterwards if they cannot immediately be answered. First, I want on one slide introduce a LuraTech company to you. Maybe some of you have heard already or had contacts with us, but just to give you a short overview what LuraTech is doing. So LuraTech in general is a specialist for document conversion, which has a long-term history of 15 years, and we are especially working on PDFA conversion, and this as well as for scanned, as for digital documents. So those are the things we have, and our main or flagship product for this is a PDF Compressor Enterprise, which is a server-based automatic tool in order to convert scanned or digital documents into PDFA. Another product family, not the topic of today, but is interesting for you. There's another webinar next week, which you are welcome to join, is Dockyard, which is our complete platform or input management platform, which allows to generate a control and production steering of a complete input management environment. So a short recap on PDFA, but I hope you have seen this already a little bit in the movie. Excuse me. So PDFA is an ISO, so it's a worldwide ISO standard with a goal of long-term archiving, and it comes in 3 parts. So the ISO initiative, I will come back to this later, started back in 2001, and the first part was published as an official and worldwide ISO standard in 2005. And obviously, because we're talking about a long-term archiving standard, the ISO defined that PDFA in detail, PDFA-1, will never become invalid. But on the other hand, ISO knows the IT industry is moving fast, and there are new developments which are also sensible for long-term archiving, and therefore ISO decided, and this is a normal way how ISO is doing that, to split or to develop the PDFA development and standard into parts. The main goal is a static view for archival documents. So this is a main goal. So, and this is a tough challenge in our fast-moving IT industry, or even in the far future, but even in the near future. So sometimes I have a floppy disk which contains Windows 95, which is not too long ago, and well, you can see how fast-moving the IT is, and nobody really knows what we will use as computer devices in 10, 15, 20 years from now. So this is the goal, to have a safe archiving format, very simple, simply speaking, and this is something you can remind, that PDFA has a goal to be something like electronic paper. So paper has survived hundreds of centuries, and PDFA should be the same for digital documents. some base principles. There are obviously a lot of technical details, but here on this overview presentation and more high-level management presentation, we just want to pick some points or main principles. Whereas the one main principle is the principle of self-containing documents, which means a PDFA document must contain everything which is needed to reproduce and to view a document in an not unsure but unknown future. So we'll never know whether we will use laptops in 10 or 15 years from now. So the principle is self-containing, and a simple thing to remind is something very simple like fonts. So think of Arial or Times New Roman, and also those must be embedded. Today obviously they are on the Windows computer or operating system, but this is not for sure in 15 years, where we may use totally other operating system. So this is one main principle, and this has a lot of, let's say, technical specifications. And this is also a reliable document, so it should not, this is the other principle, no active content. Think of JavaScript or unsecure content. Oh, somehow the screen, maybe the screen comes on, sorry. So then, here we would like to show what we like to call the world picture, or PDFA world picture. Obviously, that's not a full world picture, but this in general is hopefully a goal, and I want to give you some pros and maybe some hurdles to reach this. This is also not something you can reach tomorrow, and you're hopefully excited after this webinar, but on the long run, and basically it covers all, let's say, generic application areas. So obviously, and I hope you can think of the specific applications depending on your industry and your specialties, but in general it says generally in an organization you have things like where you start with paper, so you digitize paper, which is typically a digital mailroom solution where you do digital mailroom scanning, or where you have folder digitization projects, so whether you have bank credit folders, or if you're insurance, you have insurance folders. So this is a middle area. On the other hand, so all those can be using tools like the LuraTech PDF compressor converted to PDFA. This is the second thing is here for internal documents, which is used with Microsoft Office things for that, which can be converted to PDFA. It's a logical good point in time when the time is ready for a document to become archived. And also you have the host, so if you have mass output solutions, if you have high volume output, then obviously it makes sense to keep those letters which an insurance, for example, may send to their users and customers, to keep this as a PDFA file. And the other one is incoming documents, which mainly translates to email. So if you need, and most companies are doing that and optimizing this email archiving, then this is a way how you can also convert incoming external documents into PDFA. And the goal should be to have PDFA at the end overall. If needed for some types of documents, PDFA in the standard also has an option to sign, so to sign files or digital signature, to apply a digital signature. And then you have the reproducible safe output, which means you have a safe viewing on the computer, which is a PDF viewer. If you print it, you get a defined printable document, and obviously if you do document exchange with other organizations or companies, this is also safe by using PDFA. So as I said in the beginning, I want to give you 3 pro arguments and also 3 hurdles, which are maybe used for PDFA. So the one, and this is the main goal of PDFA, is to define a long-term archiving format. And first of all, you may have the question, do I need a long-term archiving format? Do I have documents which last that long? And AIM, which is a well-known association, did a survey, and I think this gives a good overview. This is very general, so obviously this depends on your specific applications which you have in your organization, and also maybe industry specific. I will give some examples in a minute, but basically you can see that obviously a lot of documents are, let's say, rather short term, with 6 or 12 years, but then the red block here, this brings us really to long-term archiving, which is 20 years. So take, for example, the healthcare industry, where the typical time to preserve, think of patient records, is 30 years. In banks, we have learned that credit folders, so think of credit folders, this typically needs 50 years. So you start the credit, you pay the interest rate for 25, 30 years, and then obviously there's some pre and also some post-archiving necessary before the documents or the credit is finally served. If we are an insurance business, then we have personal lifetimes, think of a life insurance, and other documents may need to be stored and archived for the life of the legal business entity. And if you're in the archives and libraries or look into the archives and libraries community, obviously those people are responsible to archive documents forever. So this is the one main point of PDFA, to guarantee long-term archiving, and obviously I hope this gives you some idea that you can also evaluate which of your documents we need to archive for a long time, and the survey also shows there are a lot of documents in the organizations which are necessary. The second pro is what we call the synchronization of, we like to call it the format zoo. You know, the zoo has an animal of each type, and unfortunately this is very often the case in organizations' archives. So just think of your own or talk to a colleague afterwards in your own archive formats in the archive, depending on the different application types. Input, which mainly means scan formats, so think of digital mailroom or folder digitization again. Then very often is TIFF used. TIFF is black and white, so a lot of color. JPEG was a choice, or a lot of applications, or also the scan hardware. So if you digitize documents, already offer a scan to PDF function. So you have 3 formats already in your archives. If you're doing output, mass output, volume output, then for high volume, AFP is a format which is called a print format, so, and there are maybe multiple of other print formats. When you think of the group of internal documents, and this is typically some of the well-known Office packages, or maybe also a specific application which is doing text processing and document processing, and depending on the industry, this may be other things. So if you're in an engineering company, this may be CAD formats. And then obviously there is a group of external documents, so mainly emails, and emails are not just the text emails, but emails typically contains a lot of known and unknown attachments, which are nice or ugly, depending on the type, and all those needs, if it's a part of a business transaction, needs to be archived. And you also get unknown PDFs. The file looks like PDF, but the technical quality is unknown. This comes down to the point, and this is a point of the format zoo, that the normal user, so the normal person, non-IT person, which wants to work with a customer folder, in the worst case has to work with 10 viewers and does not even know how to flip pages on those viewers, or on the other hand how to print a part of this customer folder. And this is one strong point, that PDFA is a, on the one hand, long-term format, but also viewing. When you have all documents as safe PDFA files, it allows for safe printing, and obviously for document exchange, so if you exchange documents with other organizations. And the third pro, so I think there's one also the third major benefit, but we like to call it PDFA is technical good PDF. So this covers the technical side, but it's also very important, because if for some reasons you have what we call a bad PDF from a technical point of view, you may recognize this much too late in time when this is in your archive. And the document quality is one of the goals if you are responsible for the document management system or for the archive system. And it's also your responsibility, and in order to share some experiences here. So on the one hand, this is good news. There are thousands of PDF tools on the market. So as a user, and there's also one thing why PDFs of tools. On the other hand, there are some tools which, due to appearance, we learned that typically chairlift, which is technically quite well, also commercial to blame, but that's also something I've learned over the years, because mainly I'm also in daily business using Adobe Reader, but philosophy is a different one, so it's a good one from the point of the Adobe Reader, but unless a physical level or on a software level, Adobe Reader tries to display a PDF file, and this leads, obviously helps to view, to work today with that, but if we need to rework or work with a document in 5-10 years, then there may be technical things which have been ignored, and this may generate problems. So we have also one best practice here in this example, which is a data center for the German savings banks, and they're doing it really as it is recommended for external document, and also ensures a high quality of the archives, that every incoming document which are coming from multiple savings banks all over the country, that they are in the first point unknown, so it looks like a PDF, but from a technical point of view you're not sure whether it's really PDF, and therefore there's a doorkeeper, so every document which arrives is validated, and it's also a strong point of PDFA ISO standard that there is a possibility of validating PDFA files. And as a summary of this pro argument, PDFA guarantees that you will have technical good PDFs in your archive. So after some 3 management high-level benefits, I would also discuss some contras or cons or hurdles, let's put it this way. But those are also real-world experiences which I would like to share here. So the one, this is really something which is what I call a showstopper for today or tomorrow when you want to start with PDFA. So depending on the typically document management or HCM system, the document viewer only supports TIFF. So there are some sophisticated TIFF viewers, but if they cannot handle PDF files, they cannot handle PDFA files. And this is, to my best knowledge, the only technical showstopper, and therefore this needs changes in the complete IT configuration, which obviously take time. So what we learned in discussing in practice experiences and real-world applications, due to this format zoo which I presented, many organizations introduce multi-format viewers. So this is a lot of projects which I see ongoing. So this is maybe one also option which you may want to take from this webinar. And obviously Adobe Reader is used very often, but it's not yet. There are a lot of PDF viewers on the market, so you can choose the one which fits best in your IT configuration, and also allows to have special requirements, which is on the next line here. So annotations, so this is what I have seen, for example, in insurance companies. Very often they, based on the paper history, let's put it this way, they like to work with annotations, and then this may be special requirements. So not PDF viewers, just a PDF viewer. So when you start with PDFA, then I would recommend that you also check which functions a good viewer, which is fitting the requirements of your organization, is supporting. And if you have or introduces maybe a project on the way anyway, a modern ECM system, then the modern ones have sophisticated viewers which obviously can handle PDFA and as well PDF files. The third hurdle, which we hear quite a while, is the kind that TIFF is good enough. So this is one reason. So, and as always, I have the same problem every day in daily business. We have so many other projects, so we'll just stay with TIFF. So this is very often an answer. So this is due on practical restrictions, obviously a problem, but just to discuss this. So it's also no blame against TIFF. TIFF is Stone Age. I named it Stone Age, but in our fast IT environment, 30 years, and TIFF is over 30 years old, so it's really old, and well, Stone Age, which was totally okay. If we think back 20, 30 years, and hardware was slow, memory was tough, no, not memory was short, but nowadays there's much more hardware available, much more memory available, and therefore this is a little bit outdated, this format. Also, a common myth in the market is that TIFF is the standard. No, that's not true. What's correct, obviously, there's a lot of applications which generate TIFF. There are a lot of archives in this world which archive TIFF files, but at the end of the day, TIFF is no standard. It's still owned by Adobe, and there are also, due to the long history, multiple specifications which allow a lot of variants which may become ugly on a technical detail level. And then, obviously, TIFF is black and white, and you lose any color and more information. If it must be color, then it's very often in older applications or environments, it's JPEG, but JPEG is wonderful for the digital camera at home, but it has never been designed as a document format. So the simplest point is that one JPEG file or one image is one JPEG file, and this is not what we want in document business. In document business, nearly every document is a multi-page document, and then ugly workarounds, I would call it, like JPEG in TIFF. And due to the point that TIFF is old, there's no standardized metadata available, and also no OCR possible, and which is often a main benefit of PDFA. And sometimes we have seen those applications. You may need to choose this for practical reasons or pragmatic reasons. That's not too unusual, but it's not the best way to do it. If you receive emails, you convert them or rasterize them to TIFF, and because they lose the coded information by rasterizing them, it's done backwards to OCR them again. And it's obviously that's not the best way to do it. And the third con, is obviously which we hear very often in practical discussions, is obviously PDFA costs money. Yes and no. This is something which you can also check. There are moderate costs for tools, so those are PDF conversion tools. They are not in the group of 100,000 euro or dollars, and they typically does not involve 100 man-day projects. So when we take, for example, the PDF compressor, which is on, let's say, a moderate price for the license, and typically our customers can install and bring it into production without any man-day support with consulting or training, things like that. And there are other tools around also, but this is also something where, yes, PDFA involves some investments, which also should return in your investment, but on the other hand, it's not a $1 million project. The ROE is unfortunately not always possible with hard figures, but I want to give you here some ideas. And the one thing is where we have again our savings banks example, which has a very simple ROI. So PDFA allows more RAM compression, and because of this, disk space can be saved. And in this scenario, the disk space has to be paid at the provider, and if you use less disk space, you pay less money, and the same is true for the network transfer. So if you have need smaller bandwidth and you have to pay for the bandwidth, and obviously the possibilities which PDFA allows for compression allow for a faster transfer, but also using less bandwidth, which means less money. So there are some examples where you can really do the ROI calculation based on very hard figures. On the other hand, there are a lot of I call it soft benefits and strategic benefits, which I think are more important, but it's hard to really put this into hard figures. So what is the value of a safe long-term format with technical good PDFs? Typically, you will only recognize this later on when you got problems with, let's put the second part, with technical bad PDFs, where some support is needed to fix those files, or that you cannot reproduce any files. In the worst case, you're losing some code file or some case filing, and also color and searchability, so those options which come with PDFA as a benefit. So you have color documents in your document workflow or in your document management system. Can help for productivity, so there are studies around that this increases the productivity when normal users of the application can work with color documents instead of black and white documents, and also the searchability, which also comes with PDFA, is very helpful in order to, you don't have to scroll a 100-page TIFF document. You can really search a PDFA document and find immediately the point, the interesting point in this document, maybe on page 55. And obviously, as PDFA is a modern format, it allows for future options. So I just touched the PDFA part 3, which allows embedding of files, and this is future options, so you get future applications which are possible by using PDFA, and one which is currently quite common is the topic of e-invoicing. So you all have seen a PDF invoice, so very simple to display, very simple to print, and very simple to pay if the amount is not too high. And now with PDFA 3 you can have still the picture of the invoice, or the printable PDF, but also embed the structured invoice data as an XML file in order to do automatic processing of the incoming invoices or generating invoices which are machine readable by the receiver. So as a short summary, obviously, I said it in the beginning, LuraTech is an expert on PDFA and a promoter, as well as a leading member in the PDFA Competency Center of the PDF Association. So from our point of view, and I hope I could convince you a little bit and give you some arguments during the presentation, that PDFA yes or no is not the question, but when is the question. And this is really something which also this presentation should give you. So even if you're hopefully excited and want to start tomorrow, immediately with PDFA to cover the whole world picture with all the applications you have in your organization. This is not a short-term job, but you can go step by step for this, and those are basically the approaches to introduce PDFA. So we have seen now in 7 years of PDFA experiences working with customers who are using and deploying PDFA, that very seldom there's a pure PDFA project. Very often this is in the context of a general project like the digital mailroom or like a digitization project of credit folders. And this is how customers have done this. And one of my beloved examples is this pragmatic, I call it step-by-step approach. So this was a health insurance here in Germany. And this insurance had, depending on the overall strategic project list, and it started with personal folders, so personal records from all employees, and this was a digitization project. This was also a pretty good starter for this health insurance, because this was a, let's say, rather small project, not too many interfaces in the overall. If you have working in a large organizations and you don't, may have a lot of interfaces, and the health insurance have a lot of them, but this was, let's say, not an isolated, but a project with not too many interfaces. So they started with a personal folder, so they made good experiences with PDFA, therefore they decided to move on. The next project, which was in line anyway, was the output management. So they used tools to also, on the one hand, produce the high volume output, which typically is letters to the insurance customers, but also they wanted to archive this because it's part of the customer communication, and therefore they can use the tool also to generate PDFA, to have a saved PDFA file in the archive for the overall customer folder. So this is a pragmatic thing, and when in the third project they did the input management, which means all incoming, basically the digital mailroom application. Or this is the other approach, and on the one hand the pragmatic, on the other the strategic approach. It may be a strategic condition. This is what I would recommend also as a result of this webinar, that you have this hopefully in mind. It's can obviously get more information about the details of PDFA, but the PDFA is a good thing to do, which delivers safe, long-term documents, and this should be considered when new projects are in the pipeline. This may be an option if an optimization of ongoing applications is on the roadmap, like I pick again the digital mailroom, where we have the maybe a operation going already with, let's say, just digitizing the mails, but then start, for example, form recognition and other optimizations, then maybe a good point in time also to introduce or to switch from TIFF to PDFA, and also migrations, whereas we typically recommend that you should not start a migration project just to go to PDFA. This is very seldom the case from practical experiences, but if a migration is necessary anyway because you change the hardware in your environment or because you change the ECM or document management system, then basically you touch every document anyway, and if this is the case, this may be a good point in time also to convert from TIFF to PDFA. So this is what I wanted to present to you in a short presentation. I'm trying to look at the ship. So if you have any questions, I'm very happy to answer those now. On the other hand, we would like to thank you for your attention. When we finish the webinar now, there will be a short questionnaire, and we would be very happy to receive your feedback in order to improve for further webinars and further webinars. So this is also a follow-up webinar. So today this was a little bit more, let's say, the high-level arguments. PDFA at June 6th is a PDFA conversion. So this is much more practical. Also, we'll demo and demonstrate the PDF compressor. So how really to do this with scanned documents, with digital documents, and other like emails documents in order to convert those efficiently, automatically in the background to PDFA. So we would like to thank you for your attention, and I do not see questions in the chat. As we said, please feel free to contact us afterwards for more information, or if you like to have a test version of our PDF compressor. Annette, who watches the chat, is happy to assist you. So you see the contact data from Annette here, and also I'm happy to discuss a concrete project with you. Thank you very much. Thanks for attending. Hope to see you in another webinar, or maybe we'll get into direct contact. Have a good afternoon or a good day, depending on the time zone where you are in. Thank you and goodbye.